Hello, my name is Nurul Nazatu Azri binti Muhammad Hajar. I'm from Group 2. My group member is Kisti Ana Jeffrey, Kistabella Ana Jale, and Nolela Sineza binti Nosapri. For this video, we're going to present for final project for MPU 1053 U3 in subject Constitution and the Malaysian Society. The title of final project is The Rulers of the Kings in Malaysia and the Function of the Conference of Rulers. First of all, I'm gonna to explain the rulers of the king in Malaysia. The Malaysia practice parliamentary democracy with a constitution monarchy. His Majesty the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the supreme head of the country. The supreme constitution in Malaysia is the Conference of Rulers, which is composed of the hereditary rulers of 9 states in Peninsular Malaysia and 4 state governors appointed by the kings. The deputy head of state is elected in the same manner and although exercise no power, is available to fill the king's position if the latter is absent or disabled. The 9 of Malaysia, 13 states of the majority of states in Peninsular Malaysia are still officially ruled by sultans and tunku, who have retained some power and control over the land as outlined by the Constitution, although their positions are largely ceremonial.
9 of the states of Malaysia are constitutional, headed by a traditional Malay rule, collectively referred to as the Malay state. State constitution limit eligibility for the throne to male Malay Muslim of royal descent. All rule except those of Perlis and Negeri Sembilan use the title of Sultan. The rule of the Perlis is styled the Raja, where the Negeri Sembilan rule, also known as Yang di-Pertuan Besar. Every 5 years or when a vacancy occurs, the rule convenes as the Conference of Rule to elect among themselves the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the federal constitutional monarch and the head of state of Malaysia. As with other constitutional monarchs around the world, the rule do not participate in the actual governance in their state. Instead, each of them is bound by convention to act on advice of the head of government of his state known as Menteri Besar. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong is federal head of state. His symbolic role includes being the commander-in-chief of the Malaysian Army Force and carry out diplomatic functions such as receiving foreign diplomatic and representing Malaysia on state visit. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the head of Islam in his own state. The 4 states without rule is Penang, Melaka, Sabah and Sarawak, and the Federal Territories. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong acts on the advice of the Prime Minister and has discretionary power in appointing the Prime Minister that command a majority in the Dewan Rakyat, the lower house of the Parliament. A unique feature of the constitutional monarchy in Malaysia is the Conference of Rule, consisting of the 9 rule and the 4 Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. The most important role of the conference is to elect the Yang di-Pertuan Agong every 5 years or when the vacancy occurs. Only the rule participate in the election of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong as well as discussion related to the rule privilege and the religious observance. The conference other role in the federal governance of the country is to give consent to amendment of certain interns provision of the federal constitution, namely those pertaining to the status of the rules, the special privilege of the Bumiputra, the status of the Malay language as the national language, and the status of Islam as the religion of the federation.
The next is the rulers or function of Malay rulers. Each of the 9 rulers serves as the head of state of his own state, as well as the head of religion of Islam in his state. As with other constitutional monarchies around the world, the rulers do not participate in the actual governance in their states. Instead, each of them is bound by convention to act on the advice of the head of government of his state known as Menteri Besar. However, The rulers of each state has discretionary powers in appointing the military besar that command a majority in the state legislative assembly and refusing a dissolution of the state assembly when requested by the military besar. The powers of the monarchies have been restricted over time, although there is debate about the precise limits of their powers.
The Conference of Rulers in Malaysia is a council comprising the 9 rulers of the Malay states and the governor or yang di-Pertuan Negeri of the 4 other states. It was officially established by Article 38 of the Constitution of Malaysia, which is the only such institution in the world according to the Malaysia National Library. Its main responsibility is the election of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and their deputy, the Timbalan Yang di-Pertuan Agong, which occur every 5 years or when the positions fall vacant, either through death, resignations, or removals from office. Although its position in the process of elective monarchy is unique, the Conference of Rulers also plays a role in amending the constitutions of Malaysia and some other policies, in particular those articles which have been entrenched, namely those pertaining to the status of the rulers, the special privilege of the indigenous Bumiputra, which is the status of the Malay language as the national language, and the clause governing the entrenchment of such article.
The Yang di-Pertuan Agong has role in all 3 branches, which is executive, legal, and judiciary. In the executive branch, His Majesty has the power to appoint a Prime Minister and to refuse a Prime Minister request. Yang di-Pertuan Agong also has role in appointing Attorney General and judges based on the Prime Minister. He is also given the power to grant amnesty or delay sentencing on any crime in the military court. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong is also a commander of the chief of the armed forces, in addition of being the head of Islam in the 4 states ruled by appointed governor. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong can also call a meeting with the conference ruler concerned solely with privilege, position, honors, and dignities of their Royal Highness.
So that's all. Thank you.